My friend doesn't want me at her wedding after I helped finance and organize it, but my lawsuit is ruining everything because it comes at the worst possible time for her. I'm going through a lot right now, sorry if I just dump it all here. About a month ago, I got a call from my childhood best friend, Emma. We went to school together and she lived just 2 streets away. Until high school, we were inseparable. We were the kind of friends that everyone's family knew. However, her family moved to another part of the city and we drifted apart a bit. We stayed connected on social media and met up at least once a year. You know how life gets in the way. But we were still friends, not the type who talk every day, but the kind who know they're there if something happens. Emma had big news, she was getting married. The last time we met, a year ago, she told me about her boyfriend, but marriage wasn't in the plans then. When I heard the news, I was genuinely happy for her. Childhood best friends hold a special place in your heart. I thought she was calling to invite me, but she wanted me to be part of the wedding preparations. I saw this as a chance to strengthen our bond. I mean, who wouldn't want to see their childhood best friend walk down the aisle? Emma said she was overwhelmed with so many pending tasks and asked me to help her. I didn't hesitate for a second. I threw myself into it as if it were the only thing in my life. I was ready to go dress shopping, look at floral arrangements, and all those wedding things. At first it was fun. She consulted me on designs and other plans before finalizing them. Made me feel really special. But then things started getting weird. She began asking me to lend her money for almost everything. The first time was when we went shopping for her shoes. She picked out elegant bridal shoes and at the register she exclaimed, "Oh no, I ran out of cash. Could you cover it?" I jumped in to help without thinking twice because I assumed she'd pay me back later. 2 or 3 days passed, but she didn't. I thought maybe she'd forgotten, but she'd pay when she remembered. Then she asked me to go with her to her dress fitting. While there, she asked me to front the money and said she'd pay it all back once her check came in. I agreed, seeing that she was keeping track of what she borrowed. She told me a foreign client's payment was held up at the bank, and as soon as she got it, she'd settle all her debts. One day she called me in total panic. Her wedding planner was threatening to cancel unless she paid a $10,000 deposit immediately. She still hadn't received her client's check and begged me to help. I hesitated for a second, but I'd known her my whole life. Plus, I wanted to believe she'd never take advantage of me. Our families knew each other, and the situation seemed genuine. Anyone could be in her shoes. I know if my paycheck was delayed a month before my wedding, I'd end up borrowing from friends and family too. Sure, I wondered why she wasn't asking her fiancé or parents for help. Then I thought maybe they were covering other things I didn't know about, or perhaps she didn't want to ask them. Some people trust friends more than family. Emma swore over and over she'd pay me as soon as her check arrived. Sure, no problem, it's her wedding and I wanted to support her. But this kept happening. $200 here for makeup, $300 there for a hair accessory. It all added up quickly. I also found myself neck deep in other wedding tasks. She asked me to help design the invitations. I spent hours researching perfect templates and fonts. She couldn't decide on a menu, so I went with her to several tastings, always paying the bill on her promise. "I'll pay you soon, I'm keeping track of everything I borrow." When she needed rides to meet vendors, I'd drop what I was doing to drive her. I even stayed up one night helping her hand make wedding favors because she wanted a personal touch. I often wondered if she had no other friend to help her. I even asked her about it, and she said it's hard to find genuine friends these days. Childhood friends touch the heart. No one can replace them. In every moment, I told myself this is what friends do for each other. Sure, I was exhausted, but I reminded myself of our decades-long friendship, our sleepovers talking about crushes and heartbreaks and so much more. We had history together. As teens, we dreamed of standing by each other on our big days, and there was no bigger day than a wedding. I felt like I was helping her create one of the happiest days of her life, and that made all the effort worth it. Oh, and speaking of maid of honor, when I asked who it would be, she said her sister. She explained she couldn't let anyone else be maid of honor, so that spot was fixed. I felt a bit disappointed, but her sister is 10 years younger and still a teenager, so it made sense. There was nothing I could do about it, and I accepted it. Fast forward to today. We were shopping for a dress she was going to wear to a family dinner this weekend. While there, I overheard her talking to the wedding planner, giving instructions to put a scanner at the doors so only guests with a QR code could enter. She said, "If there are crashers, I'm not paying for extra plates." I was confused. QR code? What QR code? I hadn't received any invitation, let alone a QR code. Up until then, it hadn't even occurred to me that she hadn't sent me one. I was assuming I didn't need one. I mean, I'm by her side all the time. Why would I need a formal invitation? When she came out of the fitting room, I mentioned it casually. "Hey, you still haven't sent me the invitation." "I'm not officially invited yet," I said, laughing, thinking it would be funny. Her expression froze for a second before she forced an awkward smile. She looked me straight in the face and said, Yeah, about that. The wedding is family only. I'm not inviting any friends." I laughed, thinking she was joking. I held my expression, waiting for her to laugh. She didn't. I was like, "Wait, what?" Emma repeated with a straight face. "It's a super intimate wedding, just blood family." Sorry. Now I wasn't laughing at all. I'd been running around for weeks, spending my money, and I wasn't even on the guest list. I stared at her, stunned. I'd been going all out to help her. I'd shelled out thousands of dollars, and I didn't even warrant an invitation. I asked her, a bit angrily, "So I'm good enough to pay for your wedding but not to attend it?" She stammered some excuse about budget issues and keeping it small, but I was already done. I turned to leave before saying something awful, but Emma grabbed my hands and said, "Why are you reacting like this? It's my wedding and I decide who attends." I said, "Sure," yanked free and left. Now I wish I'd responded instead of bottling it all up. It's past midnight and I just can't sleep. My mind is replaying every moment of the last weeks. All the hours I spent helping her, all the money I shelled out, all the inconveniences I ignored. My brain is racing and I can't fall asleep. I have a full-time job and a life. I put everything aside to be there for her. I feel betrayed, humiliated, and used. Part of me wants to let it go. After all, it's her wedding and it's her choice who she invites. But the other part can't get past the anger and hurt. I was always there for her, and she couldn't even extend the basic courtesy of inviting me to her big day. What do you think? Should I let it go and just wait for her to return my money, or do something more about it? Update 1. For those who are worried about me, here's a quick update so you know I'm doing better. I realized that if she didn't want me at her wedding, that's fine. It's her decision and I shouldn't be upset about that. At the same time, I shouldn't let her exploit me. I was struggling with whether to just ask for the money back or do something extra like revenge, but I waited for my nerves to calm down to make a non-impulsive decision. I had to wait a few days for that to happen. The incident I mentioned in my original post happened on Tuesday. I waited a couple of days before asking her to pay back the debts. That's what I decided to do. Thursday came and I woke up to a message, "Please send me $500, it's an emergency." I laughed and slept another hour. When I woke up, I saw some missed calls from her, maybe as a reminder to reply. I ignored them. Then she called again. At first I thought about ignoring it, but then I said, "Let's face it." I answered as normally as possible. I started by saying, "I'm glad you called. First, I was about to remind you to pay back the money I lent you." She mumbled something about her check being delayed, but I interrupted and said, "It's $15,500. You have my bank details, right? Oh, and can you do it quickly? Emma went silent for a second and then asked, "Are you trying to get revenge on me for not inviting you to the wedding?" I didn't know what to say. It was true I felt offended, but I didn't want to admit it, so I stayed quiet. Emma complained about being under wedding pressure and how hard it was to manage everything with the check delay. I said, "I'm sorry, but that's not my problem. I helped you when you needed it and now I want it back." Emma yelled at me, "I don't have time for this. I'm getting married in a week. Can you please front me $500 right now?" Not only was she not paying me back, but she was asking for even more. I yelled back, "Didn't you hear what I said? I'm not giving you another cent until you pay back what you owe me." Emma downplayed it, saying, "Relax. Why are you being so dramatic? I'll pay eventually." I couldn't hold my anger anymore and yelled, "You know what? I want my money back. All of it and now." To my surprise, she laughed and said, "Don't be a baby, it's just a few thousand, you have plenty." Then she added, "I know you earn pretty well. 10 or 15K won't empty your bank account. You won't even feel it." I was furious. I said, "So you knew I was financially comfortable and that's why you took advantage of me?" She tried to defend herself, but I hung up. It was all clear, she had used me and I wasn't letting it go. To have everything on record, I sent her a voice message demanding the money. I gave her 24 hours to pay it back. Luckily for me, she replied with a voice message saying, "I don't have time for this, get over it, I'll pay when I have it." Well, great. I gathered my bank statements, debt details, receipts, and her voice message and decided to sue her. I never imagined it would come to this, but she left me no choice. Her intent was clear from her tone. She had no intention of paying, and I wasn't letting it slide. All I wanted was my money back, but she's played with fire, and now she's getting burned with the lawsuit. My brother's boyfriend is a lawyer and we're good friends. I contacted him right away and he started on the documents. The legal notice is set to be served tomorrow, Sunday, the day of her family dinner. I didn't want to ruin it, but if it does, I don't care anymore. Since I've started this thread, I'll keep you updated. Update 2. Oh, it was a total disaster. The legal notice was served right before her family dinner. When I say right before, I mean literally while she was having wine with her in-laws. I paid extra for in-person service through my lawyer's assistant, and the best part, I went along to hand it to her. I wanted to witness how devastated she'd be. She probably thought it was some last-minute delivery, but no, surprise. It was time for her to pay, literally. As soon as she saw me with a suited man holding a stack of papers, she went pale. She closed the door behind her and came out, asking what it was all about. The server handed her the papers. Her face went ghost white as she read them. She panicked so much that her parents had to intervene. Curious about what had her so upset, I stood there silently. They asked what was going on and I pointed to the papers. Her mom started yelling, asking why she was being sued days before her wedding. Her dad calmed them down and took us out to the front porch to talk. The server got the signature and left. Her fiancé also came out to see what was happening, but her dad handled it by saying it was some bank documents. I told the truth. I said she owed me money and had no intention of paying it back. Her dad was disgusted that I'd served a legal notice over what he called pocket change. Then he learned the amount, $15,500, and it wasn't small anymore. The man nearly had a heart attack right there. He kept repeating, "You owe her $15,000? While Emma mumbled excuses about her delayed check and how it wasn't a big deal. Her dad yelled at her, saying it was a big deal, not just for her but for them too. They tried to convince me to drop the lawsuit and wait until after the wedding, but I made it clear, 24 hours. As the commotion grew, some aunts and uncles came out to see what was going on. Though her parents faked, "Nothing's wrong, Smiles, I'm sure some overheard enough as they were raising eyebrows at each other. I was surprised her family dinner had over 15 people. Clearly she was lying about the wedding being intimate. Initially it was just the four of us discussing, but somehow 2 aunts and an uncle joined. One asked who I was, why she owed me so much, and why the hell she didn't just pay me. I even overheard someone whisper, did she use her friend to finance this whole wedding? Let me tell you, that didn't sit well with her parents. It was chaos to say the least. My intention was to serve the papers and leave, but when the drama reached this level, who wants to miss front row seats with popcorn? I could see her in-laws and fiancé peeking through the window, and after a while he came out furious and asked what was going on. When they explained, his reaction was interesting. He asked Emma directly, why didn't you just invite her to the wedding if she's been helping you so much? And you know what she said? I didn't think it was that important. He couldn't believe it. He said something like, you didn't think it was a big deal to invite someone who basically financed half our wedding? Are you crazy? At that point her parents got involved too. They'd been helping with some wedding costs, and now they started questioning where their money had gone. It was total chaos. There was a lot of tension at the dinner, but I wasn't budging. I wanted to see what would happen. I told them I'd like them to handle this, but I want my money back in 24 hours. Her mom pulled me aside and begged, we've known you since you were a little girl. Can't you do something to help your friend? Please, for our sake, give us more time until after the wedding. I replied, I'm sorry, but I can't let myself keep being exploited. Then her dad said, you're not going anywhere, you're coming to the wedding too, you're like our daughter. He was trying to butter me up, but I wasn't buying it. I said, I don't want to attend that wedding, especially not when I'm only invited because I've taken legal action. Finally, I left because nothing more was happening. They were just trying to persuade me. Later I learned that after I left, her parents and fiancé sat her down and demanded a full breakdown of the wedding expenses. Turns out she'd been overspending like crazy. She'd splurged on things like custom floral arrangements, premium catering upgrades, and even a live string quartet for the ceremony. Those $10,000 I gave her? Yeah, they went straight to the planner's emergency fees, which apparently weren't emergencies at all, just her last-minute whims. The wedding was far from small. She didn't invite me because she didn't feel I was close enough or that it was a big deal. Or maybe because she didn't want me to know how lavish it was and possibly demand my money back. It was clear she wasn't going to be honest, so I decided to request a temporary court order to freeze her accounts until the case was resolved in court. My lawyer suggested it as a precaution so she couldn't spend everything and then claim she had nothing to pay me. When she found out, she exploded. She sent me texts calling me every name possible, none flattering or referring to me as a nice person. She accused me of ruining her life, so I can see why she wasn't as friendly as when I was lending her money. She said I was jealous because she was getting married while I was still single. On the other hand, her parents tried emotional manipulation, saying, "How can you do this to your childhood friend?" And I replied, "How could she do this to her childhood friend?" They told me I should drop all charges. Her dad even called my lawyer and asked for an out-of-court settlement. He insisted on scheduling a meeting the next day. Her parents came with her, and she was furious when she saw me. Everything was discussed, and her parents were outraged. They told her she needed to cut the wedding budget immediately. Emma was furious and protested that this was her dream wedding and she wouldn't compromise. But her dad stood firm and said, "You're not dragging this family into financial ruin over a party." Emma completely lost it. She screamed that her day was being ruined and blamed me for everything. But her tantrums didn't get her way. They had to return every last cent they owed me and also pay a fine for harassing me. Later, I learned through her Instagram profile that they canceled the string quartet, downgraded the catering, and even cut the guest list further. Best of all, Emma wore a different dress from the one she'd originally bought. I guess her parents made her return the expensive designer wedding gown and get something more affordable. But you know what? The universe works in mysterious ways. The incident spread among other friends. Though I didn't go around telling, when a mutual friend asked, I told the truth. That's when I found out Emma had done this before, with other friends too. That's why she basically has no friends. She'd often forget her wallet when going out for lunch or dinner, promising to pay next time, but that day never came. Over time, her friends stopped seeing her. Surprisingly, she'd never done anything like this to me before. Maybe that's why she thought she could scam me big this time. Anyway, the wedding was far from as grand as she'd planned. The guest list was cut to just parents and siblings, which was an intimate wedding like she said. In the end, she didn't lie, though not because she wanted to. Some services were canceled, and the decor, food, and everything else were minimal. Emma and her parents had to scrape their bank accounts to pay the vendors. I'm sure it was hard for her to see so many long faces on her big day. I'm not going to lie, it felt satisfying knowing she couldn't just walk all over me. Update 3. It's been over a year since I last posted on this subreddit, but what recently happened warrants coming back, even if just for one last time. It's about my former childhood friend and her marriage, so I hope you'll stick around to read it. To update you a bit on what happened with Emma after her wedding, I have to tell you she did have her honeymoon, though not in the paradise spot she intended. When I was still helping with planning, she always talked about spending a couple of weeks in Hawaii, in a house with ocean views. If you think that sounds expensive, it was. And she probably hoped I'd finance it at some point. However, with my lawsuit, that plan had to be canceled and she went to Plan B. Though honestly, I don't think the honeymoon she had was her second choice. Maybe her option Z. Or perhaps we need to invent new letters to describe how far it was from her original plans. It's been so bad that she hasn't posted a single photo on Instagram, but I've still heard the details. Turns out she stayed at an aunt's house in Ohio. And no, it's not a dream house, it's a regular house with views of nothing. That was the luxurious honeymoon she had. At least now she has the chance that, if she gets married again, she can finally have her dream wedding, because she's in the middle of a divorce. You could say her marriage lasted a few months, but to be fair, it's way more than what I and many commenters here thought it would last. In my opinion, I don't understand how she even got married in the first place, since there were so many red flags for her fiancé. Most likely, the divorce isn't directly related to her behavior or the money, otherwise they never would have married. But lacking details, I can only imagine what's going on. I could suggest we go out for coffee so she can tell me what happened, but I risk her asking me for money to pay for it, and my desire to know fades. That's all I can tell you for now. Edit. I've been able to find out that the reason for the divorce was infidelity, but it was her husband who cheated. I would have bet my new $15,000 that it was her, but this girl never stops surprising me. She surprised me when she used me for money, and now she surprises me by not being the cheater, or at least not the direct cause of the divorce. Though, as an interesting fact, he had a prenup. Maybe my lawsuit had something to do with it.